Hello, podcast listeners. We know podcasts are a great way to catch up on a program that you may have missed on KSJE, and it's provided as a free service of this radio station. But you know, KSJE is now listener-supported, and so while you enjoy this podcast, we hope that you'll also take some time to join KSJE. Become a member today. It's quite easy to do. Just go to our website at ksje.com/support and pick the level of support that best matches your budget. Thanks again for listening. Here's your podcast.
Greetings, jeez. Take two. Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'm Megan Cullip, along here with Scott Michlin and Scott Duran.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
That was perfection.
Whew.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss.
You know, I was out late at Hairspray last night, so I think it's affecting my cognition this morning.
I see. Okay. Very good. Well, it is. You know, that is a late night out.
It's a late night out, but it was a great show.
Glad to hear that you're supporting the arts.
It was great.
So, go you.
Yeah.
You liked it?
I did. I mean, I go to most of our shows in town because they're so great.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Very good. So we may see some new for you?
I don't think so.
Did you get any? No, you didn't get any.
I actually stopped
inspiration?
at the end of it when they all come out.
Yeah.
And I was like, how does it? I mean, that's a lot of weight on your head.
Yeah.
Like, how are you guys doing with all that hair?
Right.
Muscles, man.
They a lot of teasing.
You got to suffer for your art. Got to suffer for your art.
They did.
Yeah. It's true.
They were dancing in heels and.
Yeah.
Yeah, no way.
That's true.
I can't even walk in heels or dance.
Or
so
dance.
the fact that you could dance in heels.
Can you dance in flats?
No. I just
well,
really. I mean, they had some moves.
They did. That's true.
It was impressive.
Exactly. Very good. Well, glad you got out and about.
Yes.
And got here this morning.
Yes.
So, excellent. Welcome, everybody who is watching as well. This is That's Interesting. It is the show that asks you to call in and share what is interesting in your world. So please go ahead and do that. We'll put up the phone number right now. There it is at the bottom of the screen. So give us a call down there. Number
505-566-3909.
That is the number, 505-566-3909. Phone lines are open. What do you have to add, Mr. Duran?
No, I was like,
Sorry.
I like the switch up of letting Megan do the
phone number.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it.
All right. Do you want to? You can give the number too. If you
Oh
like.
yeah.
You know, why not?
Please give us a call at 505-566-3909.
Thank you. Very
We're
good.
all three gonna do it.
Yeah.
And we'll get you on the air
There you
and
go.
And see what's interesting in your world as we talk about what's going on here, like Hairspray and other things.
Yeah.
So
I still haven't gone.
Oh,
How long is it still in? How long
Till
is it
July
15th.
I think
Middle
like
of
July
November?
12th or something.
Is
Well,
it that?
middle
Okay,
of
so it's
November.
around there. Okay.
Yeah,
So there's still
so-
time.
yeah, it goes
there's
about a month.
still time.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Well,
such a great
yeah.
story about acceptance,
True.
self-acceptance, acceptance of others. I mean, it's actually, it was touching, and you know, funny and all sorts of things.
Right.
So,
All right.
We like
Yeah.
that too. So there.
Hey,
there
we're
you
all
go.
about the bits here.
the bits.
The bits.
Yeah.
Comedy bits.
bacon bits, or
those two.
I'm about
And
bacon.
I am the bacon guy.
he is
so
the
that's
bacon
kinda
guy.
fair.
So yeah.
I'm about bacon bits.
I think that could work.
Hey,
So
bacon bits
yeah,
work.
we hope you will we'll check it out and maybe call in and tell us what you thought about it.
Yeah,
So there you go. But you liked it.
I did.
Okay. Have you seen the movies?
No, and you know, we all know that I was disappointed that it wasn't the musical Hair.
Yes.
And then I had gotten that
Hairspray,
confused when
yes.
I heard it was coming. But I actually talked to somebody that is involved in the conversations around what musicals we bring in and stuff like that. And I was like, have you guys thought about Hair? She's like, yeah, it comes up a lot, but there's that nudist scene. And I was like, no. We don't have to do that. They can just keep their clothes on. Not a big deal.
Oh.
So that changed the game.
Okay.
I was like, other towns just omit that scene because it's not like super
Well, I
necessary.
mean, it is sandstone. There are strategic bushes around, so maybe theoretically it could be done tastefully.
That too.
I don't know.
But you remove that scene, and it's, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
It's another great story about community and
Right.
finding peace together and all of that. So,
Right.
Anyway,
All right.
maybe.
All right. We planted a seed. Who knows?
Maybe I planted a seed.
Fingers crossed.
Well, Margaret Claire actually did it, and she said, like, I think it was Iowa, like some town in Iowa.
Possibly, sure.
And that, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
So.
Look at that. So.
I'm sure. Well, there's a long list of great shows that could be brought here, and so we'll look forward to that.
Yeah.
See what happens. So,
Yeah.
there you go. Okay.
Good times.
Cool. What else is going on with you two? What do you
Well-
bring to the show today?
Well, let's talk about the first Democratic Socialist to be voted for and to win a primary,
Yes.
Zoran Mambani,
In New York City.
in New York City.
Okay.
I think this is a very poor decision, but it is interesting
Well,
that is like the times are changing in certain parts of our nation.
right.
He's radical. He wants city-run grocery stores, which has never worked. Rent freezes, which also leads. You think it's a great idea because you're like,
Right.
oh my God, housing's so expensive, which
Sure,
it is.
sure.
But what it ends up doing is decreasing your supply of housing because you can't afford, you build new housing, but then the rent's frozen, and that's not enough to sustain the housing that you built, so people just stop
Right.
building housing.
Right.
Same problem with price fixing. Government price fixing never works.
Yeah.
So those two things are a big problem. He wants transit to be completely free, which also has its downfalls. And then he wants to renovate the subway tunnels to be more friendly towards the homeless. Which again, all of these things sound fine,
Well.
but that's not going to fix the problem
Right.
of any of these things.
Right.
And what's really fascinating is it was high-income people, high education, and I use air quotes because it means they went to college, but I mean, who knows what they learned in college? And
Okay,
then
all right. Thanks for that caveat.
high income, and it's a bit ironic because the plan to fund for these things is to raise taxes on the wealthy.
You mean they voted for him?
Yes,
Yeah,
like it was like the
yeah.
Park Slope people, and like if you look at a map of the city, it's like the wealthy parts of the map voted for Zoran, but the more inner city parts voted for other candidates.
But his campaign, I thought, was about affordability. That was the whole idea behind these city-run grocery stores and rent control and things like that.
That's what socialist campaigns are always about,
Right.
but they never work.
Well,
so.
I get you, but
Yeah.
but I thought that would be that was his message, and you'd think that would appeal more to the lower
You would
economic
think.
voters. Is
Yes.
what I'm trying to
Oh,
say.
right. Yeah.
But it
yeah.
didn't, apparently.
But it did not.
At least with the majority.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. I mean, he's only 33. He's like, handsome, charming, all that. And that does win you points when you sort of have a gerontocracy going on
Right.
with like the Democratic Party.
Okay.
So it was Andrew Cuomo, this guy, and another guy that was the comptroller previously for New York City, which I had to look up because I didn't even know what a comptroller was, but it's basically the guy that handles the finances
Right.
for the city. And
Good thing you
so,
said, 'cause I was about to ask you.
I think it's this like perpetual problem that we're seeing where parties are just relying on sort of old names, and a lot of voters are like, can we have somebody new? And it's happening
But
in all of these.
But look at what happened
areas.
then. That Cuomo's out and he's in.
Right.
I mean,
so
they kind of
that's what
rejected that idea.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So this like old blood is relying on these old names, but the American voters are like, we want something new, and they have
try
to
something new.
choose this guy. So I think.
So you don't like him?
Well, I think it's a recipe for disaster. It's not about him personally. It's about
Okay.
the
Policies.
The policies.
Okay, I got you.
Right.
Because everybody loves the idea of cheap stuff or free stuff or whatever, but it's just how do you sustain that?
Right.
Money's got to come
Yeah.
from somewhere.
Okay.
And his plans just for the housing alone were 100 billion in estimates of how much it was going to cost, and that's like
Wow.
almost the entire budget of the city right now.
Right. Right.
So
And I think
yeah.
the state,
Whoa.
I think I heard a comment from someone from the state saying, you're on your own with that or something. We're not going to, state won't help you with these programs
Yeah.
for New
Yeah.
York City. If you want to do it, it's all you, buddy. But don't
Kind of
expect
already
state
backing
money
out,
to help.
yeah.
Well, yeah, and then a
Which-
lot of people that are the big financiers, the people that kind of fund New York City, will probably make their exit.
Yeah.
So
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
no, it
this is
kinda
just the
sounds like it.
primary. He is not one.
correct.
No.
There's a chance. I think the other issue I want to bring up about that, though, is that this was a ranked choice voting
Right.
primary,
Mm-hmm.
which is somewhat different because these other two candidates are more than just those three, though. I think, right? Because
Well, yeah, there
I
were
think
some.
Curtis Sliwa was back in there,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
running as well. But it was him, Mr. Mamdani and the controller were endorsing each other, which was odd, right? Even though they were running against each other, but they were endorsing each other because they wanted folks to rank them like first and second, so that Mr. Cuomo maybe would not get the 50% that you needed to win the primary or come off as they go through that, right?
Yes.
With the ranked choice.
Yes, yeah.
So that was somewhat unique to see two kind of opponents, air quotes, I can do them too, that were, endorsing each other, which is rare. But with this type of voting, that's why they did that.
Yeah.
So that was a long, rambling comment, but anyway.
It's very interesting.
And now
Just
the
put up air quotes.
other idea is that the incumbent mayor, Mr. Adams, is going to be run as
an independent
third party or independent in the fall, and maybe Mr. Cuomo will come back
and run as independent,
which
might
or
split
third
the ticket.
party. So that will really, I don't know, could be interesting.
I think
we'll see what happens.
I don't know. I mean, listeners can correct me, but in my lifetime, it seems like it was the first socialist candidate to ever win like any political race.
I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
In a major U.S. city, maybe, I guess, that caveat.
Well, and like Sanders is Democratic Socialist, so.
Yeah. Right.
But anyway, it's fascinating, and there's a whole lot of interesting stuff.
What I thought was, because I think New York City has a pretty large Jewish population.
I know.
Yeah.
And so that seemed interesting to me, maybe, that I don't think he's been as friendly to the Jewish population as maybe past candidates have.
He refuses to criticize the Intifada stuff.
Right.
Which we don't have to get into, but that's but still, not super friendly to.
I think he could be described as a unique candidate.
Yeah, he's novel.
Yeah.
But thankfully we're not in New York City, but the fact remains that New York City is a very influential city in our nation and is a finance hub of our nation.
Wall Street is there.
Yeah.
Right. But again, it's still the United States, and it's, a mayor has some power, but not all the power, and he's got to work with his city council or common council or whatever the form of government is there in New York to pass any of these things that he's talking about. So there is that, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's always hope, right?
Always hope. That's true. I agree with that.
I hope they have some good city councilors.
Yeah, but we will see. But I think it's also telling. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, but it seems like everybody's kind of already backing out for the most part of this whole idea that he's pushing. So it's like, I don't think it's going to have legs.
I don't know.
A lot of voters thought so, right? So
it was a very low turnout that day too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's very. It was a very low turnout of voters in general, and then So I don't know if people are just getting tired.
Which is not the best, because if there was actually more people, it might have went the other way. But
you can say that about every election.
I see it every time.
You can say that about every election.
I do that.
Yes. True. So there's that, and but I think it also is telling for the Democrat Party, which has been, I think, kind of trying to find its way.
Definitely.
And here we see the Democrat voters voting for this candidate over some of the more established, maybe middle of the road Democrat candidates in this largest city in America. So what does that tell the party? I don't know, but I'm sure they're looking at it and trying to figure it out.
Well, that's my concern, is that if this guy catches steam, is that whole party gonna start heading that direction?
Oh.
But again, not personal to Mamdani.
All right.
But
we'll see.
He also wanted to defund the police in 2020, which has its problems too.
That's true. That's true. All right. Well, what do you think, audience? You're welcome to chime in on this topic or another, but that certainly is, I don't know, gets people talking.
It is. It's
for sure.
Interesting.
And so give us a call. The number is 505-566-3909. The lines are open, 505-566-3909. Now, some astute listeners may be thinking, but wait a minute, why are those guys on the air with this show? It's the second or the fourth Friday of June. This should not be this show. It should be the other Friday show. But, dear listeners, we have changed our format a little bit to put Solutions from the Street on hiatus for the summer, and we're going to be here every Friday with this show instead.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
we're going to be here. Well, that's interesting.
The programming committee has made the decision here at KSJE to do this show, produce this show every Friday. So if you think it's a Friday morning at 8 o'clock this summer, call in. That's all you got to remember. So
we had to pass the board, and
I know.
everybody.
But it was pretty unanimous,
Yeah.
as I recall.
No ranked choice voting with this one.
Not that
Yeah,
one.
no.
No, not at all. So anyway, so that's why we're here.
We should have the listeners ranked choice vote us. That would be
Oh,
hilarious.
come on. That's not fair, though. It's
Why
going to
not?
be Scott, number
Wow.
one. You're
It could be this.
picking-
It could be you, number one.
No.
Or we can all endorse
you're
each other.
pitting us against the town of the celebrity.
I'm just saying we
town
can
celebrity.
all endorse each other and see what
Oh,
happens.
yeah, we can all
That's true.
endorse.
That's
Yeah.
true. That could happen.
I
But-
just don't want to be
I
comptroller.
vote for
that's
Megan.
for sure.
Okay.
Thank you. I would vote for you.
Aw.
Oh. Never mind. This is
You're
embarrassing.
a celebrity.
And now it's a three-way tie because I'm going to vote for myself.
Yeah. I win in
See,
the end.
it works.
There you go. That's it. Anyway, just a reminder, we're going to be here all summer on Fridays, 8 to 9 a.m., except for next Friday. But we won't
Yeah.
talk about that.
Well, it's a holiday.
It is
It's
a
holiday.
celebration of the birth of our nation.
That's right.
It's a
4th
great
of July.
holiday.
So, because we're going to be actually working later on next Friday, everybody. We will be streaming the 4th of July parade, the return, a triumphant return of the 4th of July parade next Friday night at 9 p.m. Megan Cullip will be there with me along Main Street. And we are joining forces with the parade sponsors, Film Four Corners. We thank them for their partnership and letting us to do that as well. So they've got a lot of cool new things planned for the parade. And so it's going to be a cool event. I don't know if it'll be a cool
It'll
night
be-
because it could be 90
yeah, it's gonna
degrees.
be
but
warm.
it's going to be a
But
cool event.
It's going to be a pretty well done production from what we've already established. So it's going to be
Yeah.
it's going to be a nice show.
You gotta love small town America
Oh, every
Right?
time.
with their 4th of July parades. This is a parade town too.
It is a parade town.
Oddly enough, you know what it is, huh?
People like their parades here.
They do like the
we
parades.
like to march on the
It's
streets.
true. Oh, exactly.
Well,
Very
I mean,
patriotic.
it's a parade.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true. What else?
so and then we're gonna be because what else is more American than
Parades and baseball.
Parades and baseball. 'Cause At
Right.
the same
Yeah.
time that the parade is going on, we will actually be airing Connie Mack, the city tournament for the qualifier for the Road to the Connie Mack World Series.
Yes, those games
that-
begin next Wednesday, the 2nd.
Yes, we start the 2nd. We go to the 7th or the 6th.
The 6th, Sunday.
Sunday. Sorry.
So you'll hear those games right here on KSJE, the evening and afternoon games. There's going to be actually games in the morning too, but we're going to bring you play-by-play of the afternoon and evening games, and then
Yes.
on the weekend we'll bring you, I think, all the games.
Yes,
But that's the plan, and that will determine kind of the host team for the Connie Mack World Series. It's a little bit of a different system this year.
Yes, because we're opening it up to the entire state, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
So it's going to be a little bit. There's some new teams, and new faces
Yeah.
coming into the city
For
tournament.
sure. That's true. So join us for that on the air next week, right here on KSJ as well. That's another interesting thing that we wanted to share with you today.
Look at that. We're just full of interesting.
We are. We really are. Full of something.
That's another
There's
word
that.
for us.
Sure,
That's another
that's
word
it.
for us.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, so if you'd like to call and talk about Connie Mack or baseball, again, it's open format here. So give us a call this morning at 505-566-3909, 505-566-3909. Let us
Beautifully
know.
done. Hey,
Thank you.
golfer's clap.
Okay, thank you. Is that a golf clap?
It was a golf.
That was a
I'm
golf
into
clap.
golf lately.
Apparently you are.
Yeah, I went golfing one time, and now all my family and friends are like, "You want to go golfing? You want to go golfing?" I was like, "I went one time."
No,
people.
it's all right.
Calm down.
That's all right.
I did horrible.
That's what people do
Well,
when they get
it
to
takes time.
when you get to a
develop
certain
your
age.
game.
Thanks, Megan.
When you get to a
Thank
certain
you.
age, you start, enjoying the slower pace golfing. So,
You know.
So,
Just look at
hey,
me
you know
like-
what? I'm gonna endorse you twice as hard now.
Thank you. I was the district champ in golf.
where are you now?
Boom.
I was.
Okay.
Heck, I mean, it
And
is a fun
then,
sport, though.
well, I was a district champ in 8th grade, so that's like not super impressive. But then I started
Right.
playing in high school, but then the coach was like really misogynistic. So
It
he
does
just
happen
kept
a lot.
talking about how I was a girl playing golf, and I'm like, dude, like wake up.
What's-
It's,
yeah,
like
what does
what's-
it matter?
What's the big deal?
Yeah, interesting.
Like why is
I've
this a
been
problem?
doing this since the 70s.
Yeah.
At least.
It's like,
And do you still play golf? I don't hear too much about that.
Oh wait, yeah, that's right.
I mean, if somebody asked me to go play, I would.
No.
It's not something that like I do, but
There you go.
All
But
three
yeah.
of us. Hey.
Well, there you go.
we can go play golf because Civitan's like super reasonable.
Can you get us a tea time at 9:05?
I probably can.
Just walk down the street?
It's Civitan. If we're doing Civitan, they're
Oh,
like,
we're doing Civitan.
they're like, yeah, sure, come on by. There's nobody here.
Right.
We only get. They tend to get business in the evening. They get
True.
business in the evening.
That's
I see
true.
a lot of people go out in the evening.
Yeah. All right. Well, see, now look what you started.
Hey,
Okay.
All right.
I'm just saying.
Every Sunday, KSJE golf.
Wow. Okay.
Make us be like, I see you guys enough already. It's the one Friday.
Yeah,
Please don't make me see
she may
you
need
more.
a break. I don't know. We'll see. But that's okay. Anyway, cool. Well,
Cool.
I didn't know that. Did learn something new about
I know,
our
right?
beloved co-host today.
Indeed. Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Every time.
See, there you go. Very cool. What else?
Oh, so mine's more of not so much of a fact or anything like that. Mine's actually a topic in this sense. And the topic will be the devil is in the details.
Okay.
This came about because I noticed that people don't retain information the correct way anymore.
Wait, what?
As in, whatever they generally, as a shocker, right? But I noticed even in written format or presented in even like Instagram is the problem in this situation. The information wasn't retained properly. The person
Okay.
just regurgitated something back to me that was really improper, and it's because they didn't take the time and effort to sit there and read the little caption at the bottom.
Yeah. Okay.
The reason why this came about was because they had sent me a video of a rap group known as De La Soul. And you know De La Soul, right? Had a bunch of great hits. One of the biggest ones is Me, Myself, and I. 3 is a Magic Number is another famous one. They had a whole gaggle of stuff. And they were very positive in the black community. That's what their content was about, was positivity in their rap in the black community. Followed the same kind of format as the Tribe Called Quest. Not so much negative, but positivity. And De La Soul actually had their 25th anniversary for their first album just this last month, actually. So it was a pretty big deal, and I'm assuming this is why it came about. And the person had saw that Instagram was promoting
Right.
a lot of De La Soul stuff, but they had promoted a song called Ooh, featuring another MC by the name of Redman.
I'm sorry, what was the name of the song?
Ooh. Ooh.
Okay, just checking.
And
Just making sure.
It's
Okay.
rap.
Okay.
Don't be surprised if
That's
the
all
name
right.
wasn't as sophisticated as it
No
could
judgment.
be.
I'm just, I'm not sure I heard it right.
But they had presented it to me not too long ago. They're like, "Oh, check this out! They just put out a new song." And I was like, "De La Soul put out a new song." And I was like, "That's not right." But I didn't like. I was like, I wasn't judgmental, and the reason why I said that is because one of their former members, he went by the name of Trugoy the Dove, had passed away in February. So they weren't doing any more content. They were done. So when my friend presented to me with like, "Hey, this is brand new" and all this stuff, and I was listening to it, and I was like, "Oh no, I've heard this song. This song came out like 2 years ago." But I didn't want to be rude and be like, "No, that's wrong." But he kept presenting like, "Yeah, this is a new song. You like the new song?" And I started rapping to it. And he's like, "Oh, have you heard it before?" I was like, "Well, not to be that way," but I was like, "Yeah, I've heard it before. This is like 2 years old." I was like, "This came out like in 2022, 2023." And then he sat there, he's like, "Really? I thought this was brand new. I thought it was brand new. It said something about 2025. And the reason why it said 2025 was obviously because they had their 25th anniversary. But didn't correct himself to fully read that it said from their debut single of the 2023 potential album known as Ooh. And then stuff like that. So then I kind of noticed that with my mother and some other people, that like the information that they were getting from social media or from even just news articles or anything like that wasn't fully being retained. They just saw something and just kind of put their own spin on the topic. And I was very concerned at some point because I was like, that's not right. You should probably read the articles. You should probably read the captions because you're...
Did you just call out your mother on the radio?
I did. Oh my God.
Goodness. Oh no.
I'm
You're gonna
dead.
get the chancla.
I'm dead. I'm dead. Oh Lord. Oh no.
No.
That's my
Nobody.
time.
Nobody will retain that.
Yeah, nobody's gonna retain it. But it was
detail.
just so odd. Like it
Interesting.
was one of those things where I realized that nobody was actually retaining the information. They just
I
read
could see that
something.
though. I could see that because I think a lot of times maybe if we're with any interaction with media, social media, regular traditional media, whatever, I think we're not maybe devoting 100% of our attention to it, and maybe it's on the background, or we're scrolling and we're looking and we're dealing with something else, and so I think that impacts how much you retain.
Oh yeah.
Because we're just not paying attention to it, except for this show.
Yes.
People
please.
always pay attention to every word we say on this show.
Sure.
Wait,
I believe that.
do you? Yeah.
Make it
Okay.
just positivity.
Exactly.
But no, it was just
Okay.
very concerning because,
Alright.
like I said, then they brought it back to me, somebody that's in the public, and they're like, "Look at this brand new thing," and I was like, "That's not brand new. That's not old, but it's it's
Right.
not new. It's 2 years old."
True.
But it was still exciting to talk about the song, and
Yeah.
we exchanged our favorite lyrics in the song, so it was still a good moment. But it was just odd because I started noticing that with a lot of people, even our two young folks, kind of do that from time to time. They bring stuff or talk about stuff, and I'm like, that's nope,
Not new.
nah.
Well, but they're young.
Yeah, they're young.
Their brains are still forming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
I was thinking about it. I was
That's
like, I think one of them is done now.
No, they're not. If you interact with them, they're no.
Yeah.
But it's okay. They are learning, and that's great. So that's an important thing. But I think too, people in the media or in the music industry are probably more connected or more interested in music and
Yeah.
those types of things too. So I think maybe you would be more attuned to that than maybe somebody that's not
Yeah, exactly.
in music and playing music and following music like you do.
Yeah. But
Is
again, like I
another
said,
point.
the that's why I bring the phrase up, the devil's in the details, because
Yes.
you got to read some of this stuff, and it gives you the information. You just got to read through it, and maybe that's what it is. Like you said, maybe it's just like you don't have the time for it. Your attention span is moving on. You're like, God, why am I going to read this thing? It's a cool song, cool. I'm going to share it. That's
Right.
all.
Okay.
So I appreciated it in the end, anyways. I was just on. I was like, just don't go around telling people this is brand new.
Yeah. True. Okay.
So
Well, I mean, I think when you're inundated with information all
Yeah.
the time,
Like we are.
like we are,
Everybody.
it's hard to, parse through things. And I mean, a lot of people, like one of the news sources that I read it's pretty much every article is pretty long. And I had shared a subscription with one of my other friends, and she was like, that's not how I get my news. Like, I get it like quick flashpoints or whatever. And it's like, I mean, that's fair, but also like, that's not really giving you
a lot.
a full entree
story.
of what's going on.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
but
I
It's
get
like
it.
watching a trailer of a movie.
Okay.
You just see the fun parts or whatever, and then you don't see the rest of the,
Well,
the
that's
acting
true.
inside of it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
True. So interesting. All this is interesting. That's
I
why it's on the
know.
show.
That's why it's on
interesting.
the
That
show.
is exactly. So there you
But yeah,
go.
that was my thing. I said, and I was like, the devil's in the details. Plus, I just like saying the devil's in the details. It's a good
Evidently,
little, It's a
yeah.
good little saying.
True.
I don't
Okay.
know why, but it is.
All right. Fair enough. That's true. All right. Well, your turn to call in, audience. We'd love to hear from you, even if just to call in to say hello or wish Megan happy weekend. or
Happy
something.
golfing.
Thank you.
Or, or whatever. But yeah, let us know what's going on in your world. We'd love to hear from you. And if you don't call in this week, we hope you'll call in another Friday this summer, because we're going to be here every Friday with this show. 505-566-3909.
505-566-3909.
There you go. Give us a call.
Oh, and
Yes.
Megan's mother, if you're listening, send us pictures and videos of Megan golfing.
Yeah, there you go. That'd be great. Exactly.
I
Until we can take it
hope
on.
those aren't there.
Oh.
Like
Just with
I
like the
don't know.
golfing pose, right?
Right?
Dang.
Maybe.
PGA is going to get a new silhouette.
Exactly. True. Very cool. Oh my gosh.
a
All
new
right.
silhouette.
Could be.
That's
That
what
is
it
my
is.
best
It is.
angle.
You never know.
Just a shadow.
Is that it?
I didn't mean it like that. But then, good luck.
You have a photo on Facebook about you sitting under an arch somewhere in shadow.
Yeah.
So see?
That's a good photo.
Oh.
That is a good photo.
Yeah.
You're in deep thought. It looks like anyway.
I was in deep
Or were
thought.
you napping? I don't know. I can't tell.
No, I was in deep thought.
You were contemplating life?
Yeah, it's hard not to in those places.
No kidding.
You know?
That's true.
You're like, oh, what do I have to worry about? Like, look at this place. This is beautiful.
Yeah. There you
know?
go.
I had nothing to do with this place.
Do you ever think it's because of the journey there, the visual, or the silence that comes to that?
All three probably. I mean, it's windshield time usually yields deep thought, because you're just it's just you in a car and you're driving through the desert. And then, I mean, I think beautiful landscapes, particularly the more arid landscapes, do tend to generate deep thought. Beautiful thing. I mean, because awe is like a separate emotion. They're sort of discovering.
Right.
There's a researcher from UC Berkeley that studies like the emotion of awe and like how that impacts us. And so, it's like when you stand at the Grand Canyon, or you stand at Arches, or any Yosemite, any of these places, you're just like, whoa. Like, it just has this like mind-blowing effect, and it's humbling. Anytime you look out at the ocean, you should be humbled. You should be like, wow, I'm really small. Like,
Well, good
Yeah.
point.
I'm really pretty insignificant in the grand scheme of things, and that is freeing.
Right.
So,
And you think that in an arid environment, that's easier to see than maybe something less arid?
I think so. At least it's always affected me that way.
You can't see the forest through the trees?
Right.
Okay. For lack of a better saying.
Exactly. But I had also just had this like really deep conversation with the friend that I was with, and
Nice.
she's not in the photo. She's like above me, but
Okay.
yeah. So we had this like super deep conversation, and then we were
Nice.
just sitting there thinking about it.
I also
cool.
thought it was just funny
I like that.
how that gesture, because I do it too. Like, oh yeah, that person was behind me, and you like literally thought like they're behind you,
Yeah.
but they're not there.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh yeah, they were somewhere behind me in
Over
the
there.
video. Like
That's right.
everybody goes, huh?
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
But no, I thought about when you're saying that, I was like, I wonder if that brings it on. Like, for me, it's the silence. Like, you know, if you go to those
sure.
places, yeah, because there is no cars, there is no. I'm not saying like we have a bustling city that has noise every 5 seconds, but like, you know, in that spot, there's like a different silence that comes around you, and that kind of moment captures me in that moment where I'm like, oh, and I start thinking. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's just, there's
Right.
nothing there, right? It's freeing to start thinking about whatever you want to. Or to not think. Sometimes I just don't think, and I'm just.
Well, see, I don't know how
Well,
to
I
not think.
see that every day.
That's
Yeah.
I think that's a man thing. I don't know. Like every man I know, if I'm like, "Hey, what are you thinking about?" and they're quiet, they're like, "Oh, nothing." And I'm like,
It
"Really?"
it is a great thing because like some point you're just like,
Yeah, I don't know how to do that. I
Right.
never turn it off.
Yeah.
I wish I could, but
Interesting. Okay.
I can't
See?
do the cricket sound anymore. But
Right. Crickets sometimes.
Yeah.
But there you
Yeah.
go. I think that works. I think but there are some cases where you could be in that most beautiful spot, right? Where you could be in deep thought, but maybe it's not quiet. Maybe there is a family, no offense families, with your lovely children, but sometimes they're a little loud.
Yes.
And that would probably break that environment, I guess, right? I mean, it would be certainly different if you were sitting there in deep thought and there's a door closing or a minivan door closing, sliding closed, and a bunch of kids getting on going, oh, how cool, this is really neat, let's
Yeah.
go see what's over there. You know, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Totally different environment,
this
right?
is why we went after the kids were in bed.
Aha.
Aha.
Okay, smart.
Yes.
See, there you go.
it's the timing. It's
No
all about
offense.
timing.
No offense, families.
No, I love children, but
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, all right. Well, I think we're out of time,
We are.
everybody.
Oh.
I think so. I think we, true, but
Well.
we'll be back next time.
Yes,
So,
that's right.
it's not like it's over. But it is for today. So, but we want to leave with a couple of thoughts before we go. A couple of things. A little reminder that, again, baseball is back on KSJE beginning next week already, everybody. It is the Connie Mack World Series Farmington Qualifier Tournament, July 2nd through the 6th.
Yes.
And so we'll be airing the afternoon, I think 3 p.m. game and the 6 p.m. game is the plan, and then more games on Saturday, and the tournament will wrap up on Sunday, and that will determine the host team for the World Series, which will then be on the radio later in July. So that's what's coming up then, so we want to remind you about that, and hopefully you will tune in, and you can, of course, listen on air or online at ksje.com. And we talk about online. I also wanted to share the newest news here is that there's a KSJE app. For the first time ever.
Fantastic.
For the first time ever, because that's actually something Megan Cullip asked me about when she first got here.
I-
These many years ago.
It's true.
And I said, what? That's crazy talk. We can't do that. And now we have.
And how, see,
I know. So
you were thinking
Blasphemy.
too small.
thinking too small. So if you would like a better way to connect with KSJE and stay connected on your mobile device, we encourage you to check it out. It's available on the App Store and Google Play for all you Apple people and Android people. And check it out and let us know what you think. But I think Megan has tried it on Apple and likes it.
Love it.
Love it.
Although when I first opened it, it does automatically play. We should,
Yeah, we're going to
we
work
should-
on that. That
we
may
should
be
warn,
a-
warn
fix that.
listeners.
Yeah, it's going to stream as soon as you open it up.
Yes, so I opened it in the middle of a meeting, and
Yeah, you shouldn't do that probably.
Jazz
Yeah.
filled the room.
But there are, there's connections to our podcasts and things like that, and so a great way to do that, and the news stories that we share and things like that. So it's a great way to keep connected on the go. So I hope you will.
You know what? You could treat it like the Oscars. And just start playing jazz to wrap up.
To wrap up other people
with the
talking.
long meetings, wouldn't that
Yeah.
be great?
Yeah.
Like, this could have been an email, and you open up your app.
Yes.
Jazz playing just to warn, like, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, see, there you go. But anyway, the KSJ app, check it out, everybody. We hope that you will. Of course, a reminder, we are here every Friday with this show all summer long, 8 to 9 a.m. That's interesting, except for next week. Should be a little asterisk on there. But next Friday is the 4th of July, and so we are going to be busy later on the 4th of July with the 4th of July parade. So we won't do a show next Friday because we have to sleep sometime.
Yes.
So there is that. Tomorrow, though, you're not sleeping because you're back here working.
That's right.
What a trooper.
Radio Free Saturday morning, 9 to 11 a.m. Your eclectic music mix. All genres are welcome.
What level of eclecticity are we seeing tomorrow? I don't even know if that's a word.
That's not a word, but
No. Sounds like one, but no.
yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there will be things that
Between
people...
1 and 10. What do we say? Tomorrow's show is what level of eclectic?
7?
All right.
Dang,
Oh,
I
nice.
picked
Okay.
6. I was off by 1.
Okay.
I was just trying
I
to
thought
match.
about 6. But anyway, yeah. I mean, you will hear songs that you haven't heard, but you will hear some songs that you're familiar with.
Nice.
Each week I choose a different theme, and tomorrow I have a special guest host. He's been on once before, but a while ago, Chip. And we chose the theme. We really are just honoring...
Is Chip a golfer?
No.
He should be with that name.
He should be with that name.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
But we really chose to honor the musicians who have died in the past, 6 months. Sly Stone and
Yeah.
Brian Wilson and another big one that I just forgot.
Okay.
I don't know. But
Others.
Roberta Flack.
Roberta Flack.
Right.
So, yeah. Folks like that.
We've lost a lot, haven't we? Yeah.
Yes,
When you
we
think about
have.
it, so gotcha.
So.
Okay. And are these going to be probably in keeping with the theme of the show, the maybe less popular songs from
Some of
these
them,
artists?
yeah.
Or will you play a little bit of the pop stuff
Some
too?
some of them's popular. Like, I mean, of course, we're playing "Killing Me Softly" by Roberta
Okay.
Flack because
Okay.
that's like her
You have to.
big song. But,
Right.
but there's like with Brian Wilson, there's a way lesser known track in there.
Okay.
Sly Stone, there's a couple of more well known tracks. But yeah, so
Okay. Nice.
interesting show. And Chip knows a lot about most of these musicians he's like met or
What?
yeah
Wow.
he used to live in New York City. He was a film producer, and so
Oh, okay.
came into contact with all these people.
Wow.
So.
And how do you know
Right
him?
back to New York.
I guess is my other question.
Well, his sister lives here. His sister is Erin from Child Haven.
oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Now it all makes sense.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's your 3 degrees.
Yeah.
And somewhere,
Will there be
and then
De
there's
La
Kevin
Soul?
Bacon somewhere.
There's Kevin Bacon.
Somewhere. That's right.
Kevin Bacon? I know a Jonathan Bacon. Does that count?
Almost.
Bacon in the Bits.
Bacon. That's a good song. That's a
Okay.
good title, I thought.
There you go. And then after your show, Scott Duran has a show
I do.
tomorrow.
I do have
Tell
a
us
show.
about that.
I will be doing World Beat from 11 to 12. We are doing flamenco guitar again.
I beg
that's what
your
we do.
pardon?
Flamenco,
Oh, okay.
not flum. Whatever you said last time. I don't remember even the word you said last time.
I
But
think
yes,
I
we'll
said
be
it.
doing that
Okay.
again. So
All right. Flamenco, not flamingo.
yes, flamenco.
It's not feathered
No,
birds.
not a pink feather bird.
It's a type of dance and music.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect.
From España.
See, I like it. Okay, very good. 3 hours of locally produced musical content here on KSJE tomorrow.
Yes.
And if you download the app, you can hear it on your phone.
Yeah, if you download it, maybe you hear me making switching spots in the studio.
Right. Just turn the mics off. Yeah, that's true. Very, very true. Exactly. Well, there you go. Well, that will wrap it up today, everyone. We really appreciate you being with us. It looks like it's going to be a nice sunny and warm weekend ahead, so get out and enjoy the great world. Maybe find a spot to sit and contemplate and take a photo of yourself in profile. I don't know. Silhouette.
Maybe.
Something like that, you know? Could be cool.
You know, Megan, I do want to apologize. I bring these up, and he just keeps digging and digging.
It's a topic.
I'm starting to see the trend.
We're
I
just
bring it up, and then
we're
he
talking.
just...
That's the show. All right. Stay well, everyone. Be safe. We'll see you next time here on KSJE. Did you enjoy that podcast? We hope that you did. And if you did, share it with your friends. And if you really want to keep podcasts like this coming, please support KSJE. You can do it easily online at ksje.com.